Your parents are going to be free and clean, and I hope we can do it by tomorrow. Is that okay? We'll try getting it done tomorrow. So wonderful. Give them, I don't know them, but give them my regards and wish them a good life.
That was Donald Trump talking to the child, Savannah Chrisley, the child of reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley, as he got ready to do 2 more pardons. And as has basically always been the case, he chose frauds, basically people who willfully committed massive levels of fraud. But that's the sort of crime that he likes, and he doesn't want it to be illegal. And so to the extent that he can, he is erasing these financial crimes as things that have consequences. And so let's talk a little bit about this. So we're gonna talk about the parents. Savannah, by the way, spoke at the RNC in 2024, but it wasn't Savannah that was facing this long term in prison. It was the Chrisleys, who starred in the television show Chrisley Knows Best. I didn't watch it. I don't know anything about them. I'm just learning about their criminality now. They were found guilty of conspiring to defraud community banks out of more than $30 million in fraudulent loans. A jury convicted them of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, a wire fraud, conspiracy to commit tax evasion. Julie Chrisley was also convicted of obstruction of justice because they tried to cover up the massive crimes that they'd committed. Prosecutors said that the Chrisleys submitted fake documents to banks when applying for loans, and that Julie Chrisley also submitted a false credit report and bank statements when trying to rent a house in California. The couple then used a company they ran to hide income to avoid paying taxes. So it was just fraud and criminality all over the place. Julie was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Todd was sentenced to 12. They also would have to pay millions of dollars in restitution, but not now, because they committed the sort of crime that Trump commits on a much higher level. And they're tied into the Republican Party. So this is just the petty sort of corruption that we've grown accustomed to. I don't even know if people are gonna discuss this story, because every day we sometimes do, but we sometimes don't even cover these pardons. This is a wild dereliction of any sort of obligation you have to use the pardon power in a serious or responsible way. He is just going around and taking his donors or his potential donors who have defrauded regular people willfully, never admitted fault, never sought absolution or responsibility, apologized, nothing like that. And he just snaps his fingers, and people who committed this fraud get to walk free, Sharon. And here's 2 more people who I think you're actually more familiar with their work.
Sure, I watched their little goofy reality show with Nana. Nana was a favorite of mine, Todd's mother, who was on it. And they were just clueless people walking around, living a lavish lifestyle. Now we know how and why. It wasn't really a victimless crime, as they like to call it. I don't believe the Chrisleys probably had any money to give Trump, but this fits right into his narrative as he's saying, overreach by the Biden administration. So he's gonna paint this whole lie. They don't have to pay anything back. They damage their community. They damage those of us who pay for these government programs. And you know what? They'll be back on TV. They'll be back on TV. I watched them on the E! Network. I don't know if that was their original network, but they'll be back and they'll be able to say, we were cleared, we did nothing wrong. That's really what they said to the very end, even though there's overwhelming proof, and one of their business partners even testified against them. So it's pretty sick. Savannah, the daughter, who was pretty clueless, will go through life in a vapid way and enjoying her privilege, and why wouldn't she? This is the greatest privilege of all. Thank you, Donald Trump.
I know that he's a king. He can do whatever he wants, but
That's right.
how do you not end up in prison for what he's doing? This is,
I don't get it. Balancing act, karma, something come through.
I don't know how you accept this again. And when, again, I'm gonna be very careful. When millions of people see that this is what's going on, how do they accept the political system that we have? The brazen corruption. Let me make it even a little bit more brazen, because he's done other, he is just, somebody is being paid to track down these frauds for him, because I don't think he has enough time in the day to do it. But there's another one. So Trump also pardoned a tax cheat after his mother attended a $1 million dinner. So Paul Walzak got a pardon, and in his application for it, he cited the fact that his mom raised millions of dollars for Trump and went to this $1 million dinner. So he doesn't have to do his 18-month sentence. He hadn't even done any. He doesn't have to pay $4.4 million in restitution. And so it's just gone because his mom gave money to Trump. This is the most explicit quid pro quo. It isn't even just an explicit quid pro quo. He says in his application, hey dude, I quitted. When are you gonna quo? It's time for the quo. We paid. Now give us what we paid for. And Trump's like, oh, that's true. They did quid. Here's the quo. How is this legal? Like if he just said in his application, if you pardon me, I'll give you $5 million. Who doesn't think that he would still do it? And if he did it, what would happen? Nothing. How do you sit and watch this? I don't understand how his system works when there are no even ephemeral checks on corruption and illegality and unconstitutional acts. I don't understand it, Sharon. It's driving me literally insane to cover this.
Well, you're living in the past. You're living in a pre-Trump world. And you know what? When Trump is finally gone and the stench has dissipated and there's another president who is quote unquote normal, it'll actually be the new normal. Remember when Clinton did those pardons on the way out the door and it was just disgusting. The media wouldn't stop talking about it, mainstream, whatever. That's, you can do whatever you want. Trump is not just pardoning people. He's being very loud about it. There was a recording of him talking. You just played it to Savannah Chrisley. $36 million in loans they stole. $500,000 in taxes they didn't pay. I mean, so he's very loud with it. There's no embarrassment. Clinton didn't want to talk about it. He just did it in the dead of night and throwing my brother too.
At the very end because it was a scandal, because it would have derailed his presidency. Trump's doing this every single day.
Yep.
And he doesn't care.
Seeking more money must be changing hands, my opinion. I mean, it's transactional. Okay, that's what we know about this guy.
Get Jasmine Crockett as head of the oversight. Again, I don't know what will actually come of it, but to the extent that like we're covering it, doesn't matter. It's not going to become big enough.
This?
Like, yeah. Oh, and how dare she? By the way, that's the true crime, actually, that she moves her body in that way. Anyway,
all that rhythm.
If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?